Hi, folks. So we have, I'm here. Steve will be joining us. This is the 18.3 open call Sbir topic Q&A session. Happy to start taking questions, see what you have. The Sbir open topic is meant for dual use technologies. And the goal here is that we want you to find potential Air Force customers that you can use your technology with, and you also have a commercial market for. And it's a $50,000 is one of the 3-month period of performance, with the deliverables being a report at the end of the phase 1 that will lead into your phase 2 application. Can anybody else hear me?
Yeah, yes, your mic is hot.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Just hadn't had anybody say anything, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't talking to myself here.
No, you're not insane. It's good.
Jason Holstead here from IntelliSense. One question we have is the phase 1 and phase 2 are accelerated, but how quickly can we be put on contract after some submission of the proposal?
So for the last one, after the applications closed out, we did 52 contract awards within 50 days. And our goal is to match or beat that timeline.
And then the timeline from phase 2 proposal submission to award will probably be something similar?
Yeah, we are working to make this process a little bit faster across the board. And that we are about to take in the first set of phase 2 applications. So I can give you actual data of how long it.
And can you clarify what is the requirements regarding the letter from the program office or customer, the requirements from a phase 1 standpoint?
So once we do phase 1 onboarding for those applicants, we have a template memorandum of agreement, and in that memorandum of agreement, we have things such as, hey, what would the pilot be? What types of resources, time, and effort is the Air Force customer going to put in? Because any pilot that you're going to be doing with the Air Force is going to require you to work with them, develop something with them, create something. So we want to make sure they're committed with those times and resources to do so, and they understand what the project that you're getting into is. And that they can commit to making that happen in that timeline, whether it's access to information, resources, the base, etc. This should help lay out that memory laid out in there.
Okay, so a specific program, so from a phase 1 proposal standpoint, we should have a letter in place already for the proposal?
Not for the phase 1 proposal.
Okay.
The goal for your phase 1 is to work on finding that Air Force customer and then building that memorandum of agreement.
Okay.
That's for your phase 2 application.
So if we have a customer already in the queue, would that affect our chances of award?
That is a great benefit to your application.
Okay.
We want to see that folks have a customer in mind and that you have a starting point and a place to talk to. Those are things that we want to see.
And you're saying that the memorandum of understanding or intent is that there will be a cost share from the program office themselves or customer?
Negative. That's just saying for their time, effort, and resources.
Time, effort, and resources. Okay.
That's just to make sure they're willing to commit that work.
And just a last, I think, question from my end, the clarification on the commercial technology for use in DoD. What is it? It's not necessarily it can be a technology or component being applied to the overall system, or is there any other clarification on what it means to be taking a commercial technology and applying it towards this DoD application?
So our goal here is we want to find technology or be developing technology that is also going to be used on the commercial side. so that you're selling it to a commercial vendor, right? So when I look at a product, that it is something that is used by another business. They're purchasing it. They're using that software. They're using that hardware product.
I mean, is it enough that we show that there is an intent there is a market for the technology we're developing, or does it have to already be sold or to a specific customer in the commercial side?
It is the better commercialization that you have, the further you are down that path, the better it will be on your application.
I see.
But if you haven't commercialized your product yet, happy to still take a look at those things, right? Technology is always developing, right? So you have to get into new markets, and we're open to seeing that.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
This is Jim Long from. This is Jim Long from Statler.
If we have, can I ask if we have a product that's sold in the maritime market, would that be applicable? It's a maritime commercial market.
As long as it's a commercial market, we're indifferent to that. Primes, though, do not count.
Yeah, no, it's not with the prime. Okay.
Primes do not count as. Then that had a question.
Yes. We have in mind an application to be used by the National Reconnaissance Office where the part of the staff is Air Force personnel. Would that be considered in scope?
Sorry, could you say again?
The application we have in mind would be for the National Reconnaissance Office. That is partially staffed by Air Force personnel. Would that count as an Air Force application?
As long as there are Air Force customers that are utilizing it, then yes.
When you say customer, do you mean paying customer or end user?
End user. If the NRO has Air Force members that are using it day to day, then yes, that can count as your Air Force customer.
Thank you.
How many phase ones are you anticipating processing?
We awarded 50 for this first topic that we did. This is round 2, and we're expecting to award about 50 again.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And I have a question from the chat. Hold on just a second, good sir.
Sure.
From Sbir, are you willing to work with technologies that are TRL 3/4 and need funding to develop further? Our goal for the dual use open topic here is that if you have a product that is ready to grow scale, you need a little bit of research, figure out what that pilot is. We want to find technologies that we can start utilizing and building pilots off of today. So if your technology is at a TRL 3 or 4, needs to be developed a little bit, but you can still pilot something, you can still test something, then we do want to see it.
Can we submit multiple proposals from one company if we have multiple technologies that could apply?
Yes, you can.
As far as the funding level for these, it states 50,000. I mean, and I keep hearing 50,000, and the call is 75,000. Can you clarify what you're looking for as far as funding level for the phase 1?
Yeah, so the phase 1 can go up to 75,000. We have chosen to fund more awards at a smaller dollar amount because as we're going through this process for the 18.3 open call, we wanted to test out this model and see, is it possible to do smaller awards, help those companies find an Air Force customer by funding them, and see what the result of that is. Steve is going to jump in with a little bit as well.
Hey, so I'm co-PM for the 183005 topic. What we've been telling people on the 75,000 is that is the maximum, as Joey said. If you do put in a proposal for anything over $50,000, we just want you to have a really good reason for it, right? So we did $50,000 contracts for this first round, and that was a sufficient at least from the feedback we're getting, a sufficient amount to facilitate the 3 months of customer discovery that occur during the program. So just realize that price competitiveness is a factor on which we can do our evaluations.
Yes, the reason I asked is to scope the effort. We would, if we asked for the 75,000, we'd do a demonstration out of GIFX or something like that. But if 50,000 is the preferred, we'll stay at that.
If you feel like that's going to be added benefit for your customer discovery, then feel free to put it in your proposal. Just understand that we look at those factors.
Understood. Thank you very much.
I have a question. If we have a technology which was developed with the government funding, Air Force as well as other agencies, and now it is ready to take off in the market, would that be something that be entertained by this SBIR?
If you have some technology that is going to be doing well in the commercial market, but you see that there's a DoD or Air Force use case for it, then please do apply.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I have a couple more questions from the chat. Deanna, you sent some information about your company, and then you were asking if those are acceptable deliverable tasks for phase 1. Our focus for phase 1 is for you to do customer discovery and find out who your Air Force customer is. And then it says part of the work in phase 2 could be done in US by a foreign subcontractor. I'm not sure what you're trying to go after there. We're not paying. The goal here is not to pay for you to do further research. Our goal here is to pay for you to find a customer and develop the pilot with that customer.
Yeah, this is Koichi Sano from 8-Bit Corporation. Just to follow up on that one question. So you're looking for an actual Air Force office that signs on to not necessarily a contractor that's doing business with or doing procurement for the Air Force.
Affirmative.
Yeah, okay.
So another question we have in the chat is, how is IP handled between the Air Force and the SBIR awarded company? We're not looking to take the IP for whatever technology you've developed. If you do any sort of modifications or changes specifically for the government, that is what the Air Force will have access to and information to for that IP. It's just sort of the green paint that goes on your technology or something that you've changed to make it fit for the government use case.
Business Management Sciences, is there a restriction on teaming with a federal laboratory?
There is not.
It is allowed?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Great, thank you.
One question on the IP that you just mentioned. So if this is a technology which has the SBIR data rights and is going to be applied, is commercialized already and it's going to be applied for an Air Force, there may be some changes or the application changes. What the IP right then, because SBIR rights, if it's further on, if it's derived, still has that protection of the SBIR. Would that apply in this case?
I would have to get a little bit more specific with your company, sir, and then get that question answered by our IP lawyers. So
this is Utopia Compression. As I said, the technology that we are thinking to introduce is an SBIR, was an SBIR, and is now commercialized. So, and it's still within the 5 years of the protection of the SBIR. So we just wanted to find out, as I said, if we apply this to an Air Force application, that protection continues, which as the IP derives from that original IP, so to speak. So
I think I understand your question. I'll read back to you what I'm hearing. So you guys commercialized the previous SBIR, right? So that means that you went to phase 3, is that correct?
Yeah, essentially.
Yes.
Okay, and so once you've done that, you are now eligible, and I'm sure you know this already, but for sole source contracts for that product or service with any federal agency. And is the question then, you want to determine if there is an Air Force customer for your product, is this the right program for you?
I'm sorry,
No, the idea is this. If we have the honor of working on a topic that it would be selected by your team, and obviously there will be some promotion of our given current IP from the past exercises. New things may also be added during these 3 months. Would this newly added component would still carry the data rights that we've had from previous SBIRs that we have generated this mature technology that is currently in the market? But as I said, during the 3 months of the effort under your programs, I mean, things might change, things might develop. So would those be a shared IP, are you suggesting, or would they still be carried by the data rights that we already have on our existing technology? That's the point.
So I think that's perhaps a question that we want to ask our lawyer on, so that we don't give you, lead you astray. But what I will say is, it's whatever the latest SBIR you have completed, that's when your protection period begins for the data rights. And I think a lot of that has to do with how the contract is written, and what you're actually accomplishing during the course of the SBIR. So again, I think deferring to the lawyers on this one would be appropriate, and we can maybe get you an answer as a follow-up, and we can post that to CITUS.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Good question. Sorry.
This is Diana Carl. Hear me?
Hi, Diana. Yes, we can.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on the questions that were posted. And the two things that we wanted to know were, first of all, I think you're saying we need to find a customer in the Air Force, but also it appears from what I've heard before that we need to find customers that are outside of Air Force as well. It also seems to me that part of that is to, first of all, present the underlying technology and to do a cost benefits analysis to find out if it's really going to be a solution that will apply. Is that correct, or am I off base?
Could you say that last part again about the...
To do a cost benefit analysis to find out if it's a solution that will be appropriate for the different customers.
So doing that cost benefit analysis, if you're doing that with an Air Force customer to determine what your pilot should look like, you're welcome to do that. But our goal here is really for you to find that Air Force customer and see what an operational use case of the technology can be.
Yeah, and I agree with that. The other part of that regarding the foreign subcontractor is to determine if there's any limitations on our use of a foreign subcontractor who perhaps already has the knowledge that we need in order to go to phase 2.
I don't know specifically the answer to that one, so we'll do some research on our side and then get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Post this on the CITUS site.
Okay.
Then from Trident Systems, question we got in chat is, do we need to be formally enrolled in an MD5 accelerator program prior to the submission, or is that a program we can formally sign up for after actual phase 1 starts? For this 18.3005 open topic, you do not need to be involved in the MD5 accelerator program. And from Elumis, can you discuss technical evaluations of proposals, who is involved, AFRL, AFWERX, etc.? So we are, Steve and I are the co-PMs for this project. The evaluators are selected personnel that have experience in the commercial space. That is a combination of personnel from AFWERX, AFRL, and we are not involved in the selection process for the proposals. And got another good question from Triton Systems. Is it sufficient to have a compelling Air Force application, or is it a requirement to have a commercial application prior to the proposal submission? We're really looking for dual use companies. We want to see that there's a commercial market and a DoD market for the technology.
Hey, good afternoon. This is John Chapman from Liberty Dynamic.
Hey, John.
Hey, what's going on, man? A question for you. So when you were talking about the commercial viability, and we're looking for value in the non-defense sector, can you provide a little bit of insight into what you mean in non-defense? And specifically, I have a non-lethal solution that I provide to law enforcement. Like, in your guys' mind, is that a non-defense arena?
Yes, that is. Right, so that our goal here is, right, DoD, government, U.S. government customers, right? If you're selling it to a local police force, great. The whole goal we're going after here, guys, is that we want the technology or product to have more than one customer. Right? So a great example that I heard yesterday that I'd love to share with you guys is if you have a doctor, you want that doctor to be seeing multiple patients, right? Because that person is then learning and growing as a doctor and seeing how things are changing in other patients as well. So they have a bigger frame of reference and their skill set gets better. Same with any product or service you're selling, any work that you guys have, if it has a commercial product, it has a commercial customer, the product is going to continue to get better and iterate in the market. And so we want to see that. It also supports the viability of your company. And so having a police force as a customer for your product or service is beneficial to the U.S. government as a whole as well.
Awesome, thank you.
This is Management Sciences. Could you provide a scoring matrix? Every year they seem to change the scoring percentages, in that the format here is a little bit different than the usual phase one, so that if commercialization is going to be 50% as opposed to 20, or related work is percent as opposed to 15. Is there a scoring matrix you're going to be using? A weighting system?
Hey, good sir. So we don't do the evaluations and aren't deeply involved in how they rank each individual score, but we know that they are doing the evaluations based off of technical feasibility, financial sustainability, and product market fit. And we want to see how far you are in all three of those areas.
So related work is really important. That makes sense. It should be, because otherwise it's not transitionable. Okay, great.
And actually, an update from Steve is that we will actually be involved in the evaluation process this upcoming time. It's been changed since the first time. And so we will be integral in that process.
Yeah, and so Joey was spot on with that too. In terms of percents that we're weighting, we don't have a specific percent for each of these qualities. What I can say is that we are looking for these commercial technologies that are looking for an Air Force customer. So by design or by default, what that means is that commercialization is built into selection for phase one, right? So it is very different. And you made the comment, which I think is insightful, of like, hey, it seems like we change these ratios every time. This is a very different, this is by name. For the traditional SBIR style of program, this might not be right for your company. Just be open to the changes and realize that the rest of the SBIR world is still going to be operating under the same paradigm that they're used to. Yeah, over.
Thomas, you had a question. Is there a max percentage distribution of the SBIR awarded to the directed? The $50,000 that, or 75, whatever you end up getting awarded, it's up to you to manage how you're going to spend that. We do want to know in general how it was spent, but it is up to you to manage how that is going to be used. Brian, you ask, are there limitations with partnering with large DoD contractors during phase 2 or phase 3? There aren't any limitations for who you partner with, but as we talk about commercialization of your technology, that is, we don't count the large DoD primes as a commercial customer.
Hi, this is Ritan Gupta from Utopia Compression. So I asked earlier about the maritime application, and so it's not a conventional Air Force type of application, but would the goal to get to phase 2, would it be an entrance criteria that we have to identify an actual Air Force customer and get that, I guess, as the memorandum?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay.
We do want you to have an Air Force customer for whatever technology you're submitting. It's going to be...
but that happens during the phase 1 period? Is we spend
Correct.
that time?
Yep. We want phase 1. The goal here is we want you to figure out the fit between your non-defense commercial product and the Air Force market. And your job is to go find the right Air Force customer and then propose a shovel-ready trial for phase 2.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. This is Geraldo.
Hi,
From
Geraldo.
Diana. I'm confused with your answer. You know, we had the question if our goal for phase 1, our goal number A.
Hey, Geraldo, you're cutting out a lot, so I can't hear your question. If you want to turn off your video, it might work out a little bit better and come through clear.
Okay, just a second. Okay, let's try it out. Is that our goal in phase 1? One of the goals, the goal A, was to show what we have done. You know, like the prototype and the calculations.
Hey, Geraldo, you're still cutting out a ton, good sir. So if you wouldn't mind submitting your question in chat,
okay.
I can answer it there. I'm having a hard time understanding. I'm catching like every other word, so I apologize for that.
Okay then. Okay.
Meantime, I have a couple of other questions I can answer from the chat window. So here asked, how is the selection process different from the 18.2 version? It's not. We're using the same criteria. It'll be different evaluators, but it's the same process that we're going through. Do letters of support from government labs, primes, et cetera, increase the chances of winning an award? We're evaluating you off of the criteria that I listed earlier, right? Technical feasibility. Is your solution being used broadly by other customers? Financial sustainability, sales of the solution to non-defense clients, and product market fit. Is there good use for your technology with the defense stakeholders? So if you meet those criteria and you can show that very effectively, then please do. If those letters of support are going to help in any one of those paths, then submit it along with your application. And then this follow-up question you asked was, how many phase 2s do you plan to award? We're planning on awarding phase 2s to as many applications as we think would be viable, sustainable, good applications with a good shovel-ready pilot for phase 2.
Joey, this is Blaine Schertz from Ares Security. I had a question with respect to the technology.
You're going to look at the application and
you're encouraging the use of technology that's already commercialized into DoD. Would you comment on what ownership the Air Force would have of that technology, the award of an SBIR phase 1 or phase 2 program?
Yeah, so the only ownership that we're going to really take over at this point is anything that you do to change for your product to sell or be used inside of the Air Force. If you have a commercial product that is being used and you're not changing anything, we're not planning on owning any of the other IP or information.
Okay, thank you.
And then following up on that, the phase 2 award question, the phase 1 application process, our goal here is for you to spread out funding and get as many companies involved and engaged in finding an Air Force customer. The bar for phase 2 application is a lot higher. We do want to see that your company can scale, grow, meet what the customer's intent is, and it's viable for both the commercial side and the DoD side.
Yes, this is Design Knowledge. Can you elaborate on the phase 1 to phase 2 transition? Like, for example, when do you expect to request the phase 2 proposal, that timeline, and how much time is there between phase 1 and phase 2?
So the application process for phase 2 will go live about 3 months after the awards for phase 1. And that will be another month-long process. And then we'll do our down selection and submit contract awards.
This is Gerald again.
Yes.
Did you see my question there, my extra question? I just sent there.
So I see your message in chat. Your goal for phase 1 is to show your prototype and our security demonstrations for their cryptographic systems. Your goal there is to do the customer discovery. So if you guys already have this built or already ready to use this, then yeah, please go ahead and submit. Your goal for phase 1 is show them what your technology is and work on saying, what does the pilot look like? That is what you're essentially doing there.
Yeah. Okay. Then thank you.
And Sbir, you asked how many of our phase 1 awardees in this program were awarded phase 2s. We have not gotten to the phase 2 applications yet, so we cannot give you that answer. When we go through the phase 2 process, we'll be sure to be posting our statistics and information as well.
Okay. It's commercial. We got something built, but can do more than one.
All right, guys. If request is if you are not asking a question, please mute yourselves. We have a lot of people on the line as well. Then happy to take any other questions that you guys might have.
Hey guys, this is Chris with DMB Technology. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can
How
you
are
hear
you?
me okay?
Yep.
I'm good, thank you. So I was going through some of the year's past success stories, and I was curious to hear about the best success story that you felt made the greatest impact. I guess what I'm asking is, if you're delivering all the way through commercial distribution, what was getting the biggest impact for what you're looking for?
So we've just started this new process with the open topics. We're about 2 months into our phase 1 awardees for the first time. So the biggest success that we have seen is we have companies that are highly engaged in working with finding their Air Force customer. They're reaching out to their contacts, reaching out to their networks to figure out how to work with the Air Force. And this has really shifted the paradigm of how companies can engage with the DoD. And it has also created a lot of learning opportunities on both sides. So for us, that has been the biggest win so far, is this aspect of culture change and how do we get more people engaged in the process.
Yeah, and that's a good question. So since we are in the phase 1 still, it wouldn't be prudent for us to say, hey, company X is doing these things really well, because that would kind of skew the phase 2 evaluations and make things a little bit dicey. So early November is when those applications are due. We're going to move as fast as we can through those. After the phase 2 evaluations are complete, yeah, we're happy to release that information. I will pair what Joey is saying is that companies are experiencing success. It's difficult to find your Air Force customer. To me, the biggest win so far is the cohort mentality that's occurring. So a large percentage, if not all of the SBIR phase 1 companies are working together outside of their discussions with us, right? So they created a Slack channel. They're sharing contacts, lesson learned. And I think a lot of those leads that are being successful are coming from the teams themselves. That's all I got.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, I got a fast question, Foster Design Knowledge. In regards to customer identification, do you guys facilitate customer identification in order to open doors? I mean, the 50K would be great, obviously, to do some maturation or whatnot, but without and some travel money, but without a door opening or without an introduction or something along those lines, a facilitation of some manner, then customer identification will still be extremely difficult. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, so we will not be doing any of the customer introductions. We're working on a better way to say, hey, the about 50 awardees that will happen for the 18.3 topic, we can send out a sort of summary of that technology and information to the people who have identified problem sets inside of the Air Force already and see if any of them are interested on our side. But to get more involved in the DoD space, there are many avenues for you guys to, like, hey, hire a veteran, engage with the Defense Entrepreneurs Forum, the Truman Group. There are many places for you guys to go get involved and get connected to the DoD network, and that is what we're paying you guys for. Right? Go to an AFWERX hub, go to Patriot Boot Camp, SoftWorks, Hacking for Defense, places we want you to get engaged with. And again, that cohort mentality of engaging with each other, sharing information of who you're finding, who you're talking to, becomes really important in this process.
Management Sciences has a question on the definition of defense organization. The topic area states that, in summary, that it will be a non-defense commercial solution. The word non-defense, does that mean non-government or just not Army, Navy, Air Force, and DARPA? Or, basically, what is this word defense?
Yeah, so we're really looking for you to have a space in the commercial market, right? If you are only selling to other places in the U.S. government, that's all right. Good, you still have people that you're selling to, but we want to see that there are commercial customers that is not USG.
So again, the word defense is not military?
Yeah, so defense applies broadly to sort of the U.S. government market space.
So you're saying that non-defense is non-U.S. government?
Yep.
That's a big opening for defense. Thank you.
And then we have a couple of questions from in chat that I'd like to answer from Triton Systems. Phase 1 contract be similar to the Sbir Phase 1, i.e. similar FAR clauses incorporated and similar requirements of percentages of work to be done by small businesses, etc. Stand by, we're doing some research on that and looking that up, and we'll need to reach out to our contracting officer. Likely we'll post an answer on that on the CIDIS site. And then is the PI required to have Sbir awarded company as primary employer? If so, is there a preset percentage? Don't know. We'll also have to look into this, and we need some more context for your question if you're willing to share. From Invicon, is extensive testing for military applications an appropriate pilot for phase 2? The idea is that a commercial product used in commercial space will undergo testing required for use by the military. That is a great use for your pilot, right? Working with a customer to determine, hey, is this something that they can use? Is it acceptable? Does it meet all of their requirements? That's a good plan for a pilot, is seeing how they can use that. Then from Brian, bit confused about the intellectual property rights. Thought I heard you say IP rights not transferred to the government. I also thought I heard that any modifications to commercialized solutions become IP of the U.S. government, Air Force. So your current set of IP that you do have is not getting transferred to the U.S. government just because you're under contract. But if you make any modifications or changes, that IP does become part of the U.S. government, U.S. Air Force. Does that make sense? Sort of like anything that you change or tinker with for application of your product. Cool, you said thanks. Appreciate it. So here, do you encourage teams selected to join together, team up for a phase 2 effort? If it makes sense. Again, at the end of the day, our goal here is we want to see something that is operationally useful. We want to make sure that your companies are sustainable and that you have the right product market fit. You're applying it to a good Air Force customer. If teaming up makes sense for your company and the work that you guys are doing, then by all means, go ahead and do so. And then what do you do, if anything, to facilitate the customer discovery? AFWERX is the reason that we are doing this dual use open topic and paying for this is we want you to do that customer discovery. We want you to do those engagements and interactions. AFWERX is not going to be involved with helping you find that Air Force customer.
In this customer aspect that you're saying, the way I read your previous statement about defense equals government, then Sbir technologies funded by Sbir are always government funded, so they would not be eligible. Is that right?
Stand by, sir, just clarifying something on our side.
Just trying to clarify that if government technologies, or in this topic, especially in a summary statement on defense and non-defense, earlier you said non-defense meant non-government. I'm saying that previous Sbir's technologies developed under government contracts, especially the Sbir area, are then ineligible for consideration. You're looking for pure commercial product or technologies which would be useful to the Air Force and government agencies.
Yeah, so that's something that we're also looking at changing on our side and updating, right? We're looking for really non-government technology. So we want you to have a commercial market. We want you to be selling to John Smith on the street and having them buy a product, because that helps want to continue owning the entire R&D and development cost going forward. If you have a commercial product that is going to continuously be iterated upon, and things will get better because of that. Just how do we share those costs using the commercial models that exist today?
Joey, this is Blaine Church from Area Security again. Your comments are very helpful. The Sbir process has been traditionally, at least in my experience, very focused in phase 1 on research and development. And what I'm hearing you say is that your primary focus is on deployment of commercial technology into the Air Force. So yes, there is some research and some work to be done, but it's more deployment focused as opposed to research. Is that correct?
Affirmative. This is a big shift in the way that the Air Force is looking at SBIR topics. We're trying something new, right? The intent here is to get more small businesses involved, all stuff to the government. And so moving away from development to saying there's a ton of growth companies being stood up all the time. How do we get them to the government market as a company? So that means we need to do our contracting time, be clear with our expectations. We need to be able to facilitate conversations. This is a pathway to do that. That was a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
In the slides, it mentions that we can actually put in some smaller topics for $10,000. Are those being invited here, or are you looking for the 50K size?
You're welcome to submit your proposal for up to 10K. The question is, can you do your customer discovery for that much? If you think you can, great. By all means, please do.
Thank you.
And John, you asked, can you describe the difference between a pilot and a prototype? We have a working prototype, with a pilot be a follow-on to a prototype. So the reason that we say we want you to have a pilot versus a prototype, a prototype might mean, hey, we're just going to try, first time we're developing, seeing what it looks like. And we might have customers that are at that stage, or a company might be further down the road, their product is already fully developed. And so a pilot is saying, we're at whichever stage your company is at, we want you to go ahead and figure out what that development plan looks like, or what that project looks like with the Air Force customer. Sorry, this is your pilot is the first time you're doing this with the Air Force customer. Whether your technology or your product or service is at a prototype or further developed at a different TRL level, that's fine with us. And Triton Systems, there is not a requirement for this 005 topic to join an accelerator. For those of you that are asking for the accelerator question, that is for a different topic, different special topic. That does not apply to this 005 one.
Yeah, this is Koichi Sayama from APIC. Just to clarify, what you said was, the commercial feasibilities, you excluded the tier 1 defense primes. Are you differentiating between whether you're buying something for deliverable versus, if they're doing R&D to apply to some of their other, because all of them have some, commercial aerospace applications as well.
Yeah. If you're selling to the commercial side of those DoD primes, right? If your product or service is going on like an S737, and that is a commercial use case. But
okay, a lot of times we don't know, right? We figure that they might be, but.
This is a great question. Like, you could ask them, hey, is this being used for a defense side or a commercial side? And that's how you can clarify that in your commercial viability portion of your application.
Yeah.
Question on the commercial again. As an example, if there's a commercial airline technology, which then needs flight certification for an Air Force application, because the airplanes insist on having certification to altitude, environment, and the military qualifications. That is the kind of thing you're looking for, where it is used in a commercial application such as American Airlines, and it would be transferred to Air Force.
Yeah, so that is a great talking point and example of the types of things that we are looking for, right? If it's used in a commercial space, and now what is it going to take to get that to be used inside of the Air Force, right? Is now the goal there is to go find a squadron or a unit that's saying, yeah, we do have a need for this, and we do want to try figuring out what this would take to be used in our day-to-day operations. Then you can build your pilot plan with that customer. And that's what that MOA is meant to help guide you through. And then you can submit your phase 2 application. So that is a well-put summary, good sir. And then so here you asked, what if you get multiple Air Force customers? Do you value that more going into phase 2, or is 1, 2, 3 valued the same? This is really going to depend on the other parts of your application as well, right? Is that pilot going to be for different technologies, or are you piloting with different organizations for that same technology? And are you able to actually deliver to multiple customers in a meaningful way? The more customers you have in the Air Force, the better it is. As long as it is also paired with the other parts of this application, right? You still need to be able to continue doing your commercial business as well. And you need to be able to support these customers in a meaningful way. and SBIR topics, you're given an award for a specific technology. So you can't just be doing different products with different customers. So I believe someone was gonna start with a question. Okay, we have another question from Brian. Given that we're looking at commercial space solutions, I assume that we will not have ITAR restrictions, or do we need to ensure that this commercial solution is not deployed internationally? So I'm gonna have to do some research into this question and then get back to you. The ITAR and the foreign sales work tends to be a little bit trickier, so we'll post the answer to that on the CITIS site. All right, guys, we have about 7 more minutes for this Q&A session. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen in for these questions. Just a reminder that we did record this call, so we can post this at a later time. Just a reminder for that. We have another question that came in. Can this topic be submitted to 005 and the MD5 special topic? Yes, you can submit to multiple, but I think you'll have to choose one if you do get selected for both. If it's for the same technology. You can't be awarded multiple SBIRs for the same technology.
Hey, what was the Slack channel for the collaboration that was mentioned earlier? Do you guys know the name of it or how I can search for it?
So that Slack community that was created was for the 18.2 topic that group of folks decided to put one together for themselves.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think we're going to maybe create like an alumni channel that continues to sustain after the completion of the program. But yeah, that was something where we did not advise them to do it. They just self-assembled, right? So, you know, if you guys are selected for this program, you can use whatever channel or format you want to use just to collaborate together. It's a good idea.
Cool. Will you guys be at Patriot Boot Camp in Denver next week?
So I will actually be in Colorado next week. I will not be at Patriot Boot Camp.
Okay.
But yeah, free to, Josh Carter and the crew know me. So if you have a question, let me know.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Can you recap the pilot versus prototype again? The solicitation uses the word prototype.
Talk that one. So good question. The way that we look at pilot is you were doing a test with an individual. So a prototype is a thing, right? But a pilot is saying, how can I use this thing, this product or this service to make your life better or your mission better, right? So when we say pilot, yeah, maybe it is a prototypical product, but we just want you to be taking into account what that customer is and how they're going to use it. So you're showing them. You're showing, not telling them how they're going to use your product.
So, for example, meeting with actual pilots, you know, if it's going into a cockpit, meeting with pilots and getting their feedback.
Yeah, I mean, or you could say, you know, if it's an app, if it's some kind of piece of hardware, whatever it is, you can say, you know, as a notional example, you know, Air Education Training Command wants to use my data analytics software for recruiting. My pilot program looks like I'm going to give them 5 licenses of this software. I'm going to help them install it and learn how to use it. Like, that is saying I have a thing and I'm teaching you how to use it. So in the pilot example, sure, maybe they use it in a real flight, maybe in a simulator, and that's really going to depend on the actual customer and the product itself.
Copy, thanks.
Good question.
Hi, Joey and Steve. This is Shahryar from Notch. Hi. Thanks for having this session. My question is to the topic that I submitted was, so if you apply with the same technology to the MD5 special topic and the 18.3.5, it's not clear why both won't be awarded. If I go to the other Sbirs and apply with the same technology, then multiple Sbirs could be awarded. I'm not sure I completely understand that.
Yeah, so really good question. The rule is that you cannot double dip, right? So you cannot apply with the exact same product or service and get awarded, 2 contracts for the same thing, essentially. So if you apply to multiple, you can have the exact same application with the understanding that if you get accepted into one, you then cannot be accepted into the other ones, or you'll have to recuse yourself from that selection process. Now that said, a lot of companies will have multiple Sbirs that get them eventually to their ultimate product, right? So you can apply with different variants of your products that are sufficiently different to say, okay, we're not paying you twice for the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you can apply with different variants to the 2 special topics, and then if depending on what happens, go down those paths, right?
Right. I mean, in that case, you could be awarded both of those even. If you apply with the exact same product, we're not saying you can't, but just be aware that once one is awarded, you're going to have to make a decision to move forward with only one of them. You can't do it with both.
Yep. And so you can be accepted to multiple, right, if you submit with the same application, but you cannot be awarded multiple for the same one. So if you get accepted in multiple for that same technology or product, you would have to turn down the ones you decide you don't want to be a part of, and then you will get awarded the one that you do accept.
And this is true for all the special topics,
This is true around the board for SBIRs.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yep. And InfoCon, yes, this will be posted online. If you want to read it, we will not be posting a transcript. We will be posting the video. All right, guys, we have a couple minutes left. Happy to take one last question and see if you guys have anything. Feel free to submit questions using the site as well. We look forward to having you guys apply. Thank you for coming with us on this journey, and we hope that this has been a useful experience for you guys.
Very valuable. Thank you.
All right. It doesn't look like anyone has the last question, so thanks, guys, and we hope you have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hold your hand over one of them. Yes. Yes. There we go. I think what they do.
No, I wasn't in the right place.
Now you gotta go to the other side. Get it right into the LG logo.
Yeah, but
I think what they do is depending on, so the topic could be anything, right? So depending on who the topics are, they go out and get SMEs, and the people they select to support it is the evaluation team. Because they don't know who they are because they don't know what the topics are going to be yet.
The topics are driven by the submitters? Or how?
Yes, it's a wide open topic.
Yeah.
It says submit anything you want that'll help the Air Force, basically. So they have to go find AFRL.
Well, that's kind of crummy because if they match your topic with someone stupid, then it's kind of, because it's not really comparing apples to apples at that point.
You can't compare apples to apples. I mean,
Well,
you never compare topics or proposals anyway.
I guess you can, but somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. So.
Well, but they have that criteria that he was talking about, goodness of fit or whatever, to all that.
I'm
That's
just
what
saying,
they're
if
looking
you
for.
have that criteria and I get a good person evaluating mine, he gets a crummy one.
Yes, yeah.
If it was the same person,
Yeah.
at least we'd be on the same plane.
Well, that's what happens with RIF, I think, all the time. RIF program. They don't have the same people doing the evaluation. And my guess is they assign scores, and then they just merge all those scores.
I'm not sure I'm better prepared to help write this one or not. We'll see.
It might be, see the video again.
Yeah.
Might be better, hear it, if we can hear it better. What bothers me is the fact he says it should be non-defense sponsored research. If they're serious about that.
Then that means the UDEP, that's all gone.
Well, yeah, I mean, even the other.
Even the aerial will be using Copers.
Yes.
So.
Right. As a piece of it. But
Ray needs, that would be a question to have Ray look at it and say, if this is true, then we're wasting our B&P money.
Yeah, right. So we can talk to him about it tomorrow. He'll be here. He's still planning to be here at 4. As of this morning.
You can be here at 4. I'm gonna try and I'll
3:30 maybe if
I'll
Dave
call in.
Cap comes. You're gonna give me his form to sign, right?
Yeah.
I sent you
You can stop by. It's on I got it on my desk.
On the top of your desk?
Oh, yeah, just.
Oh, now, yeah.
Okay.
the only 3 topics that I could find of interest in the whole set. One of them I'm very interested in, the first one. The second one seems like Rob Andy's kind of stuff. I mean, I like that stuff too. And the last one is one that just was what we were doing in Ray's. And I sent it to John and Aaron, and they both responded, oh yeah, this is kind of like what we were looking at. I don't know whether that would really be, the person who would be able to write that one, if that was important to us somehow, would be Aaron, who's never done that sort of thing before, I guess, but he might be one that you want to get involved. I don't know. I don't really know the corporate vision or.
Okay.
Whose topic is it?
That one was so.
Yeah.
The other 2 were Air Force topics.
Was the teaming one RH? Probably.
Oh, the ISRSA related one. I wasn't sure. It had that feel.
Yeah.
So it kind of made me wonder if it was, and if that may not be. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, we don't have.
Problem for it now.
Okay. Oh, I gotta get your form. You won't be here tomorrow at all, right?
No.
I'll be calling in.
Yeah.
They upgrade the fish. I mean, it seems like there's.
They cleaned them.
More of them and
They've added some.
more interesting ones.
Yeah. We asked for a scarlet and gray, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Couldn't find one.
You're gonna wait? You just give me money today. It's okay. Give me money today. You just give me money today. Hello? Hello? Is somebody there? Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Can you hear me? You probably know. I can't. Nobody's responding. No, it's the dial-in information. Maybe wasn't publicly available. So I was being invited. Maybe it's better to go home. I'll go home with you if you want.